us, no matter what we had done before. Lee and I had been raised to respect the value of hard work and self-reliance. We grew up in a country where, if you applied yourself and worked hard, you could live the American dream. We were living that dream before it turned into a nightmare. But we never lost our faith that America is the land of opportunity, the best place in the world to go broke and start over. And so we did. Our head office was our car. Inside our car was a radio. And it was on that radio, as we drove from one house to the next on February 19, 2009, that we heard the words that would change our lives forever. This is America. How many of you people want to pay for your neighbors' mortgages when they have an extra bathroom and can't pay their bills? The contrast hit me hard. While my husband and I cleaned our neighbors' bathrooms to pay our bills, our taxes were being spent by our government to pay for mortgages of people who could not or would not pay their bills. The speaker on the radio was CNBC reporter Rick Santelli on the floor of the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, in his now famous rant that sparked the modern Tea Party movement. "We're thinking of having a Chicago Tea Party in July," he said. "All of you capitalists that want to show up at Lake Michigan, I'm going to start organizing." The next day, I started organizing too, but I had little idea where to begin. I had never organized a protest before. I had never even been to a protest. I'd been active online, and I did understand politics. Most important, I knew that the time had come to do something to save the country. I was reminded, deep inside, of something that Ronald Reagan said in his second inaugural address. If not us, who? And if not now, when? As I looked at my young children, I could not shake the thought that this was my personal responsibility as a citizen and as a mother. Because I had been very active on Facebook, Twitter, and other social media, it was easy for me to quickly put up a Facebook page and an event in Atlanta. And I already had a political network, having been involved at the local and state levels for many years. So this was second nature to me. Immediately, folks began to respond, and the Facebook page was flooded with interest from people in Atlanta who were just as fed up as I was. A little over a week later, 500 people showed up at the Capitol in Atlanta in 40-degree weather and a driving rain. Moms, dads, kids, and men in business suits and ties braved the weather. They held signs that universally condemned a government that they believed was not listening to them. I was inspired and overjoyed to see every one of those people. They were my first local brothers and sisters in what would become an epic and long-term battle. The troops had arrived, and the battle was engaged. Returning home from the event that day, I was euphoric. Even in the midst of our own personal financial problems, I knew this was a cause into which I had to throw myself completely. And my husband agreed. So we made a plan, and I began to reach out around Georgia and around the country to find out who else was involved. In the process, I met several people reaching out in the same manner, and we formed a core working group to figure out what to do next. Out of those early efforts came the idea for the Tax Day Tea Party on April 15, 2009, an event that put the Tea Party movement on the national political map. And it was during this process that I met a newly minted activist across the country in California named Mark Meckler. Little did I know that we would go on to work together for years to come, and found and grow one of the largest grassroots political organizations in U.S. history.
Mark Meckler. I'm a news junkie. I've been using the web to get my daily dose of information since 1993. I was fortunate in that by getting online so early, I was able to bypass the mainstream media and figure out that there were people out there who believed the things I believed and who shared my political philosophies, despite what the New York Times or CBS or NPR might be saying to the contrary. But prior to the Tea Party movement, I was mainly an observer, not an active participant. I did have a simple Facebook page with about 10 friends, and though I was familiar with Twitter and other social networking platforms as an